We are reading a slight different kind of fantasy than we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a little
Gothic.
Well, okay, wait. Let's not jump too far ahead, okay? I would not. Okay,
That's what it's called.
This
At
is
least it calls itself a Gothic.
this is the Pretty
It
Little
calls
Death. I'm the critic. This is the bestie. Let's get into it because I have some words about this choice.
I know.
Okay, Cass, what did you pick for us last month?
I picked The Poisoner by Ivy Ophelia, which is listed as a Gothic romance / supernatural. It is a book that was released in May of last year. It is 442 pages long. I found this book via Amazon recommended, and it was a book talk book as well. That it was highly talked about.
Yeah, it's got 3,414 ratings. It looks like it's at 4.5 stars. That's pretty good. It is supposedly part of a series. We have not gotten a second book yet, but it's only been a year, so let's not even a year. Yeah, not even a year.
Like, you got a couple more months.
Slow your roll, chick. We're good. Okay. So, no synopsis.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? This is not Gothic. This is not even fucking Victorian. I'm gonna say it right now. It is not Victorian.
It's like a fantasy Victorian.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, okay, hold on. Okay. Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
That is a Victorian sci-fi romance. Okay.
Yeah.
Dracula is a Victorian sci-fi horror romance. This is not that.
No,
those are
absolutely not.
Those are Gothic horrors. Okay, that is what that is considered. Frankenstein is the very first sci-fi novel. Okay.
So they were trying to go for a smutty Gothic horror in this book, I think.
Before we get too far, I will say that Ladies of Rooksgrave was more Gothic than this. Okay.
Yes.
There is a specific element to it. And Rooksgrave was even more Victorian. This is not set in Victorian England. It tries, but it's actually set in Edwardian, which is different.
It's Edwardian, yeah.
And the reason, one of the first things that set that off was there's phones.
Yeah, the telephone call. Yeah.
Yes, there are phones.
I noticed that.
There are phones everywhere.
There's not really chaperones either, which is a problem for Victorians.
Yep.
And that's a huge problem in Edwardians too, depending on how wealthy you are.
Yes.
But I'm just like,
the
lack of chaperones were a problem.
Yeah.
In this book.
Okay, so now that those were bothering me the entire time I read this.
I knew it would.
What is this? This is okay. So I started this, and the very first thing I sent to Cass, because I know we try very hard, y'all, for your guys' sake, to not discuss what we're reading while we're reading it. But sometimes little things slip through, and I couldn't help myself when I texted this bitch and said, "Is this fucking Blackbird and Butcher and Blackbird in Victorian England?" And she didn't say anything. She sent back little devil horns.
And I was like, I had to think about it for a second, because I was like, is it really like that? And I'm like, yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
It's a yes
I can see where you can get that, but it does take a hard left turn, which is
just
good for the story.
It is. It's better. It does make for a better story. If
It does.
you guys will remember a couple of months ago, oh shit, more than a couple of months ago, y'all, last episode was our 1 year anniversary of the podcast. Like that was our very first book discussion last year, February 24th, 2024. That was we didn't say anything because we forgot, but we are now on season 2 of this podcast. And you guys, if you've listened to us from a year ago, like, thank you. We appreciate it. Butcher and Blackbird was one of the very first books we did.
Yep.
And I fucking hated it.
Yes, she did. I didn't really like it either, to be honest. I think it had some fun ideas.
Yeah.
But it wasn't very well executed, as we discussed in that episode.
Yeah, go and listen to that episode. I had some big gripes. So as soon as I started this one, because she had read it before me. She actually read this before me. I've been trying very hard to give Cass enough time to start the BOTM before me because I read it so quickly. So I've been trying to wait until she starts because, like, usually we post these on the 24th of every month. On the 25th, maybe even the night of the 24th, I'm already reading the next book. So for the last couple of months, I've been giving her time to start first, and then about halfway through, she gives me the go-ahead, and I'll start reading. So she read this book before I did, which is why I was like, bitch, are you making me read another fucking Blackbird and Butcher, Blackbird, whatever the fuck it was. Yeah, so it's not, but it is.
I can see where you have there are similarities. So
they're both killers, but
they're both murderers.
Not really. Yeah. Like, she's not really a murderer when you get into it. She's not really doing it herself.
She isn't, but
it's implied she is. Like, apparently she's got a freaking cat suit and singy needles and hold on, that was a Star Wars reference. Hold on. Poisoner needles, we'll go with that. Singy, okay, I'm gonna nerd out on you a little bit. Singy needles, they're in old Star Wars lore, before the prequels, we'll go that way. Before the prequels, there were a group of assassin nuns. There's an order of assassin nuns, and they used to have these ornate hairpins that they would dip in poison. The order, I believe, were called Zinji. But they would wear elaborate hairstyles with these pins, and they were throwing weapons if needed be. So in my D6 Star Wars character, she had a pair of Sinji needles. So whenever I think of I wear hairpins. If you guys haven't noticed that before, I do wear hairpins. Usually they're made out of wood. I do have a couple of metal ones. No, I don't poison them and fling them. But I do call them my Zinji needles because that's where it's from. She has a set in this book. They're not called Sinji needles, though. They're her poisoner needle. She does try to use it, and it doesn't work on our main male character because he's a vampire.
He's a snake person. It's not a traditional vampire.
It's vampire coded. We'll say it's
more like a supernatural, basilisk, I would say.
But he doesn't turn people to stone.
Yeah. The teeth are long. Super thin, long, snake-like needles.
Yeah, I tried picturing this guy, and I just kept seeing Asterion.
I was not seeing Asterion. I was seeing more of a Draco Malfoy with
So not a white hair skinny dude, but a blonde skinny dude.
Yeah. Who's an asshole. Yeah.
They're both Asterion there. Let's be real.
I mean, no, they're not. Don't you disrespect Asterion that way. Okay?
Okay.
Don't you come after my boy like that.
Draco Malfoy from Mangled.
Manacled.
Manacled, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah. Might as well be named Mangled.
Mangled. Oh my gosh.
Mangled your feelings and heart.
Oh my gosh. I cried so hard at the end of that. Anyways.
Girl, I was crying the whole time. Anyway.
We're getting off topic. These are things that we can say for the post show. Okay. So, he's a snake vampire coated type being. All right. She is an apothecary owner who also poisons bad men, and she gets his eye, which like I don't really understand all that much. And even at the end, it didn't clear it up. Like, I have so many issues.
There's a lot of issues.
There's like plot holes upon plot holes in this story. I mean, I'm not gonna lie though, I am kind of looking forward to the second one.
Me too. The way that it ended.
Oh my gosh! Oh, I have so many questions about how it ended.
Because was so happy. I was like, this is not gonna. As soon as things were starting to turn south, I was like, what is happening? Is this going where I think it's gonna go? And then it kind of didn't, but then it turned a hard left turn into something that I did not expect.
Yeah.
So I was very happy with that because it wasn't like definitely not a happily ever after.
No, not at all.
That's not this story, which I was very happy with.
I'm actually very happy with the ending too.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got some points we got to hit. Okay.
Yes.
I know I said this before.
Let's start with her names. Alina.
Alina is our apothecary. Apothecus?
I don't know.
I don't know the conjugation on that.
Me neither. She is the one who's poisoning
bad
people
men
in the town. Bad men, but they are usually high status men, so they are.
Well, again, we're in a specific time where white high class men have privileges that they take overt advantage of.
Yes.
I.e. not going to jail for hurting women or other people, I should say.
Right. She's basically like the town witch that people go to
in London. I'll be real. We're also in London. Okay.
Yes.
So there's a lot of people.
She runs into the main character, Silas.
Mm-hmm.
At a party. On, he is at a party and he basically becomes obsessed with her immediately, like a lot of these guys do.
Like, at first I was trying to figure out how the hell he just happened to be in the best friend's party. And nobody noticed. Like,
how is it the first time? Let's go into potholes right away.
Right away. Let's just do it.
Is the best friend of Alina for how long? Since birth?
Since childhood, sure.
Since childhood.
Yes.
How the F hasn't Alina met Silas until now?
Right.
It's their siblings.
Okay. We're gonna let some things slide right now.
We have to talk about it.
We have to talk about it because it's just so everybody knows I'm playing with some slime here because I've realized that the slime that I got us, by the way, weeps a little bit and will get extra sticky if you don't play with it.
You have to play with it. Yeah.
You have to play with it. So I'm over here. If you hear some, that's my slime. Okay. I got glow-in-the-dark stars and some candies in it, and I'm playing with it.
Two ADHD, possibly autistic coded women here.
Yeah,
you gotta let slide. Okay?
It's gotta go. Okay, I know I was doing it in the last episode too, where I was just playing with the other one that had like the little clays in it, and I was like, oh, this is probably really loud.
A fraction of a second, because I need to go get my stem stuff too.
Yeah, you could get that. I'm gonna talk about this, okay? So, so she has a best friend, one friend. Okay, that's not talking about the madams that are hiring her to supply poison for Bad Johns or anything like that. We're just talking about a legitimate friend who apparently doesn't know that she supplies poison or goes out and willy-nilly poisons people. What did you get? Is that a jelly bear? Oh my gosh, hold on.
It's the best thing ever.
Hold on. My husband got me this a while ago.
Oh, yes.
It's a cheese square.
I want one like that.
I almost got you one. Oh, I have a Squishmallow here for you.
Oh,
it's a little one.
Squishmallows.
It's a little one. I didn't think you wanted a giant one. And I have a matching one.
It's okay.
We have the same one.
Oh, how exciting.
And it's technically 2 in 1.
Yay.
It flips.
How exciting.
It flips.
It flips.
It flips. Like you flip it inside out. It's a new Squishmallow. Okay.
Oh, that's so cool.
Okay. We just totally went really, really, really badly one way. Okay. Anyways, so she has no friends except for this bestie, known her entire childhood, and somehow never met her fucking brother.
The whole time.
Like, who also doesn't know that she's poisoning people or, that, supplying poison to people.
And how does no one in the town suspect her?
Right.
She's the apothecary.
Well, but I mean, this is okay. It's supposed to be Victorian England. It's actually Edwardian England. That both periods of time, medicine was not it was not a controlled substance. Anybody could become a chemist. Anybody could dispense chemistry. And honestly, that's kind of what she is. She is technically a historically considered a chemist. They would have called themselves chemists. They would not have called themselves apothecaries. They would have called themselves chemists. And it was very easy to dispense things like laudanum and opiates and poisons and stuff like that. Because, let's be real, the time that this is supposedly set, there was no, and it's also England, so it's not like this would have been a thing anyways. But there's no, FDA or anything controlling this shit. Just, people were taking heroin at the time and cocaine. And,
yes.
It's not...
And worrying about humors.
Right. Medicine is still very young today in our contemporary age. The hospitals were not someplace you went to get healed. They were someplace to get experimented on and basically die in. They were not hygienic, anything like that. So, the idea that nobody knows that she's a fucking chemist is laughable, because she not only has a storefront, which is as expensive even in Edwardian or Victorian England, but you have a chemist down the street, everybody goes to that fucking chemist. There are chemists everywhere, but neighborhood chemists were a thing, the fact that she goes to a greenhouse every day to get poisonous plants, although that also is not going to be something that would raise suspicion, because this is the age of experimentation, of horticulture became the thing to do. There were glass houses, monuments basically built to plants all over Britain around this time. So I mean, it's not outside the realm of possibilities that something like this could have happened. But the fact that nobody, even considered it was her. Dumb.
Yep.
So, those are right off the bat. Her one friend was like, "Oh, I'm going to throw a party, and you're going to have to show up. And you're going to have to wear something other than black. Ha, 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 ha." And then her brother just shows up, and he's the only one wearing black. How is that not noticeable?
Right.
There were very few women or men. Actually, men wore black a lot more often than you would think, especially for dinner around the time.
Yes.
Color was still a thing, but it was also not a thing for men attire. Dinner jackets were black. Let's be real.
This is why I say that it's a fantasy version of the Edwardian era.
I feel like the author tried to make it Gothic by just making our main characters wear black.
Yeah,
and that's not what it is.
And then the fact, and the ending, I guess, too, does not. It's not romance leading, but
no, but I mean, it doesn't. That doesn't make it Gothic.
I know, but it is contemporarily, I guess. Yes, I know. Take a deep breath. So, Alina, halfway through the story, gets a assistant. He just shows up one day, loves her work automatically because.
Oh no! Wait! They meet at a party at a.
They do meet at another. It was a different party. It was like a dinner party,
garden party. They meet in a greenhouse because, of course, this bitch can't stay away from plants.
Yes.
And so he becomes like her lab assist, which I think is also laughable because, the idea at this time of women in a lab would not be okay for anybody. It doesn't matter who the professor was, if they were a friend of her father's or not. She wouldn't have been allowed on campus. She wouldn't have been
allowed to live alone in a house.
Yeah. A house that is owned by her best friend's family.
Either. She didn't have any staff. She didn't have any chaperone as a young woman.
A woman nearing her 30s.
Marrying age. Yeah.
I think she was nearing her 30s.
So she was definitely considered a spinster then.
Yeah.
At that point. But still, she would still need a chaperone, I think.
Oh, do you want to know where the term spinster comes from?
Lay it on me.
So spinsters, it harkens back to the medieval era. Spinsters were actually women who just spun wool. Usually they were married women. And as the Industrial Revolution kicked up, the idea of women staying at home and spinning on a wheel kind of died out. So then that term went to unmarried women of a certain age, because they weren't like, what are they gonna do? Oh, they're just gonna sit around and spin wool at home. Like they don't have to work, they're usually taken care of by their family, so they became spinsters. So at one point, being a spinster was a highly sought after vocation, because you had a trade. You could make money during even the winter months because you were spinning wool, and you needed to spin the wool, card it, and so on and so forth, to then make fabrics and clothing. So like, it was a highly desired and profitable skill to have, and then it slowly turned into an insult. So,
which is so sad, because how dare a woman make a name for herself and make her own money?
Yeah.
We'll just call it an insult at this point.
So ridiculous. Anyway, so yes, she is technically a spinster, because she is past her debut age range, nearing 30, which is definitely on the shelf. But she should have had a chaperone. Even a spinster of a certain age usually lived with like another woman, or relatives. But no, she's living in a townhouse, a really nice townhouse, provided by Phoebe.
Yep.
Like, and she just runs her shop, and she's only just moved back to town. She's been spending years out in the country. So, one, I want to know how the fuck she got the startup for an apothecary shop.
Her father, probably.
If she has enough money to just run a store, should have had enough money to own her fucking house. My husband's eating my Valentine's Day treats.
Rude.
And he's doing it all like, in my face with his cop. And he's smirking as he's walking away.
Rude.
Bastard.
Rude bastard.
I love you.
Love you.
I don't know if you heard that, but
I did.
very few instances where my husband will actually appear on this podcast, and that was one of them. So, yes. She should not have the means, and if she has enough means for a shop, she which, okay, let's back up a little bit more. That shop should have had an apartment above it.
Right. I don't know why it didn't.
Historically, it would have.
Yeah, I know.
So, okay.
I know.
Anyhow.
So many problems. Well, she needed to have an excuse to be walking down the street in order to be stopped.
Yeah. And she gets stalked. By the brother. We don't find out he's the brother until much later, Silas. And so he's like leaving her gifts and shit. Oh wait, we're not doing synopsis.
No, we're not.
But we'll touch on this. He's fucking gifts.
Lots of creepy behavior. He's like a cat bringing you
the field mice.
Yes, dead things as gifts. He is a complete sociopath. He's not really a good guy, and he's not like a fake bad guy. He's a really bad guy. Yeah.
Okay. We have to talk about the gifts though.
Yep.
We have to talk about the gifts because I thought for the longest fucking time he was leaving every single one of them.
No, I didn't think that. I thought right away it was Luca leaving those gifts.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Because
there
are some of them that like the note in the bathtub, was that Luca or was that Silas?
I think that was...
The note was signed Silas.
The note was signed Silas. I think that was him. Yeah, I think you're right.
So, like, when did the...
Oh, wait, no, it was Luca. Because Luca knew right off the bat that Silas was pursuing her. And Silas had nothing to do with that. Remember? Because later on, he's very confused as to what Alina was talking about with the letters and the gifts. He's like, he just shrugs it off as some weird shit that she was saying.
Well, I thought he was only thinking about that on the one time she had mentioned it.
Okay.
But I mean, like, that doesn't make sense why he would leave a note that says, you really do look good in red, and she's in a pool of blood.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Then that is him. It has to be him.
Like, did he leave the note to give her his opinion on the gown she was trying on, and Luca played on to that?
That's weird. I don't know.
It's too ambiguous. Like,
there
are a lot of points like that where you're like, I think I know what's going on, but it could go either way, and it's only because the writing is so poor. Like, I feel like it should just have, when things started getting laid out, that should have been laid out from the very fucking beginning.
Yep.
Like, okay, Luca is known to both Phoebe and Silas.
Yes.
Has been known to both Phoebe and Silas. And Phoebe is pushing her towards Luca?
So, they didn't know what he looked like, is what I gather.
But he's been like...
And Luca had an alias.
Right. He went by Victor.
He went by Victor, and he was rumored as Luca out of country. And he must have paraded around as Victor in England exclusively.
Okay.
Until the very end, when he was found out by Alina, and then Silas, and then Alina.
But I mean, that does
But the problem is, the huge problem I have, is why the F didn't Silas go and try to do anything about Luca when he figured it out? Because he figured it out way earlier on.
He did?
And was like, okay, Luca's now stalking my woman that I'm super, imprinted and attached to. We're, mates now, I guess.
And adjacent to that, how did he not know the first time he met him at the lab?
He would have known.
Exactly.
He would have known right away. He would be like, oh, what the hell? Why is another snake person here?
Right. Um, let's expand on this. On the how did you not know?
Mm-hmm.
Phoebe. Phoebe knew about Silas.
Yeah.
And all she would say is you need to stay away from Silas. Well,
And she didn't say anything else.
okay. I love you. You are one of my best friends. If you weren't married, okay, and I had knowledge on what your husband was before he got to be your husband and it was bad knowledge, I would fucking tell you as your best friend.
The whole tea.
Yes, all of it.
Same.
And don't think Victorian / Edwardian ladies didn't do that shit.
Oh, they gossiped constantly. Yes.
Constantly. So, like, I get not wanting to reveal a secret that he is otherworldly.
Yeah.
But you could at least tell the bitch that he was worldly. You know, like he's been around the block a couple of times. Not just like, you should stay away from him. I've heard some things. But you're his sister. I bet you heard some things. Victorian walls were not that thick. But, like, apparently also he hasn't been around. Like, that's his favorite sister, because he has a couple of sisters, like 7 of them or something. She's the youngest and his favorite. And yet he never visits her. Doesn't know that this is his sister's best friend. Like, adores the sister even, and then just doesn't know anything about what's going on in her. Like, that's just, I feel like we're hitting our questions early, but there's just so much that is wrong. But at the same time, I want to read the second one.
Yeah, because the story is still interesting.
Yeah, like I can't anticipate this. This is, I think I know why I want to read the next one.
Okay.
I can't anticipate the ending. I didn't anticipate this one.
No.
And usually like we've discussed this, I can usually figure out a plot pretty quick. I didn't figure this one out. I think I read this in 2 days. I thought it was going to be
very similar to the Butcher and Blackbird ending.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was going to go for. I'm very glad it didn't go that way, because we had problems with that one.
I seriously thought she was going to go on hunger strike after being taken to the house.
Yep.
I also thought a menage was going to happen between her, Silas, and Luca.
Thought so too.
If not that, then her, Luca, and Phoebe, believe it or not.
Right.
Because Silas...
Phoebe definitely is into women. They that.
Yeah.
And then...
Silas let it slip that Phoebe is very much in love with Alina. Which, I mean, that just...
understands this hostility with the brother.
Yeah.
But still, like, she should have said something earlier. I don't know, maybe not, though, because of the era. She was probably afraid that she was going to lose her as a friend.
Okay. This whole bullshit that there's never been gays throughout history is just that.
No. But you're right. There has been, but it was still taboo. It's still
but
very much taboo.
If this was Victorian, it's not as taboo as you would think. Victorians were kinky fucks, okay?
Yes, they were.
They were
always behind closed doors, though.
Yes,
just like they could talk about it in society.
They did. Those society salon doors were closed, though. It was intimate groups of people. Like there's a reason that the works of the Marquis de Sade became so popular in the Victorian era. Like, these were not just insulated incidents. Like, they were being passed around. People were talking about them.
Speaking of Marquis de Sade, I have not read any, and I kind of want to read them. Can we? Are they available anywhere?
I'll look it up. I haven't
thought
looked
they were
for
like
it.
censored, but
I mean, they were depraved at the time, but have you ever read Story of O?
not yet.
I mean, the Story of O was based on the Marquis de Sade works. So,
I want to read Marquis de Sade first before I read the story about.
okay, so Marquis de Sade does have quite a few works available
Yes.
for purchase, it looks like, on Kindle.
Okay.
There's the 120 Days of Sodom. There is Juliet. There is the Philosophy in the Boudoir. Justine. Or the Misfortunes of Virtue. That one is a big one.
That's like the big one, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are quite a few. There are quite a few that are available. There is also The Crimes of Love. These are all for purchase on Kindle.
Okay, so they're available.
Yeah, they're available. I'm not seeing anything on Kindle Unlimited.
Of course not. Yeah, they're classics. So
Yes. So they're there. It also looks like there's a collection of Marquis de Sade that you can get as well. So maybe we'll do like an ancillary. Let's read not book of the month discussion about Marquis de Sade. Those will definitely be on the paid membership only.
we're gonna have to get into some more serious stuff if we're gonna read that.
Yep.
But anyway,
so like I wasn't anticipating her really making it out whole from the house. And I didn't anticipate Phoebe folding like a fucking stuffed shirt.
I know. I was so upset and disappointed.
Yeah.
And Silas, both of them.
Both of them. I don't get it.
Because they're in this weird hierarchy bullshit system, and they're at the not the bottom, but they're on a lower rung of their vampire caste system.
Yeah. It's
and
stupid.
Elsie is considered prey and is there
Alina.
for
Alina,
not Elsie. Alina is considered prey and now a brood.
Well, no, not even that. She is a honored pet kind of thing. Like she's apparently been
her to
groomed
make more babies
for their father.
Yeah,
who we've never met.
Because he's dead.
You think so?
Yeah, I think. Well, maybe not any. Maybe she thinks he's dead.
Because they talk about him.
The second book.
They talk about him a lot.
They do. Yeah.
I mean, I think she's even talked about meeting her father, Phoebe's father, before.
Oh, Phoebe's father. No. Silas and I'm talking about her father. Her father's not.
Yeah.
But no, he's definitely not dead.
No.
Silas and Phoebe's father.
No, they're terrified of him even.
Yes.
So we'll give you how the book ends, and then we'll jump into our questions. The book ends with a fight between Luca and Silas, and then immediately after the girls, well, not even the girls, but Alina runs, we find her on the deck of a ship, leaving Liverpool, clutching a white Star Line ticket.
Yep.
And Phoebe's in the stateroom on the same ship.
Yep.
Now those history buffs that are listening, Edwardian era, there was such thing as a White Star Line ship company, and they did leave from Liverpool, they did have ships leave Liverpool, I should say. Liverpool has a very big stock shipyard where they build ships and shit like that and launch them. That is famously where the Titanic set sail from.
Yep.
So part of the reason that I'm really excited is because I want to know if she's on the ship as it goes down.
She might be.
That would be an interesting turn. Like,
No, but that's not Edwardian anymore. It was
yes, it is.
1914.
That's Edwardian.
It's still Edwardian. Okay.
Yeah, it's still the Edwardian period. It's Edwardian period ends with World War One.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's right before World
Yeah.
War One.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, that's The Poisoner, by Ivy Ophelia.
Mm-hmm.
Cass, what is your overall rating?
I enjoyed this book. I knew that it had problems,
But that's why you told me to read it. Let's be real.
Yeah. Yes. I enjoyed it. I gave it a solid 4.
Okay.
Because I was interested in a story like this. I am a sucker for vampires, always have been. This is a little bit of a different take. And it's also not what I expected. And I ended up falling for the bad guy.
He was so much more charming.
So much better. And I guess because he is more of the classic vampire, I think that's the problem. Mm-hmm. It's the contemporary versus the classic vampire. Victor, i.e. Luca, mm-hmm. is the classic vampire. And he seduces her in that way, and also is more of a kinkier version of Silas in the very end.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. I would have been very happy. I would have been very happy had he not died. They kill him. Or so they say. Who knows? He might come back because it's freaking vampires.
Kind of like, we don't know if he's dead. Like, I read it as a fade to black kind of situation. She didn't, mm-hmm. She saw them get in a fight. She did not see who won. Who ran. So true. We don't know if either one of them died.
Right.
They both could be alive. They both could not be. Who knows?
They're both probably alive.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a stalking situation if she does make it to America.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm assuming the second book is going to be about. I hope it is a continuation of this story. Mm-hmm. Versus a new one, because I am very interested to see how it pans out. But I very much enjoyed it. This is kind of what I was looking for in a not so happy ending. Mm-hmm. It's different. I like this Edwardian setting. Mm-hmm. Yes, there's problems historically. There's huge glaring gaps and problems, but it still, the way it is the way it is written, the way that the characters play off each other, I enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to people who like a darker story. So
you have to remind me, because I can't open it. I already returned it, and unfortunately, I can't open it on KU.
Oh, yeah. No, it's okay. I got it.
Is this first person?
I don't think it is.
Because I think that, like, that helped a lot. If I remember, I keep thinking that it wasn't.
It's first person.
Is it first person?
So what it'll do, it does switch back and forth.
Oh, that's right, because Silas...
Alina and Silas.
Silas is third.
They say Alina at the very top, and then they'll say I.
Okay, yeah.
So it's still first person.
I did like the split POVs, mm-hmm. because his point of view is, like, it's different. Like, I gave this one a 3. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's higher than I thought you would give it.
I mean, with all of the... I chalked up the inaccuracies with the historic aspect of it. Is the same thing. Like, I know I said this before. As a writer, you have to research what you're trying to write so that you come off feeling like you actually know and can place things correctly. And it feels like the research just wasn't done for this. And that's mm-hmm. fine. Like, obviously, this was probably somebody's, like, desk drawer project. You know, there's just too many. There's too many plot holes for it to not have been completely fleshed out. I kind of think maybe like the character just led the story, in many times, because like again like she claims to have poisoned all these people. That's the whole issue, that she is being hunted is because she is the poisoner, but she's not actually poisoning people, but she also like is like she has been giving.
She's the provider of the poison, so she is still technically like, had she not been there and not existed,
Right, I get that. I totally get that.
Those people would still be alive.
But like,
so she is responsible for their deaths.
But she's
in a roundabout way.
Also talking about trying out these poisons on other people herself. Like she has all these tools to like break into people's houses and poison people, but she hasn't actually done that. The only person she's ever broken into was Silas's house.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so she is the poisoner, but she really isn't. Like, she is the third party that people are getting the poison from. So, I mean, like, that's what I mean. Like, it feels like the character drove the story for the writer. I don't think there was actually like a good solid plot plan in place before finishing.
I do kind of agree with that. I kind of got lost around the middle to the end about where this plot was going to go, especially with how confusing Silas was being.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to imprint on her and we're mates, so it would be another run-of-the-mill, if you hurt her, you die situation.
Right.
It ended up not being that, which is good because it's different, but also what is your motivation then? Are you prioritizing your life with this human, or is he still... I think she ended up, she as in the author, ended up leaning more towards, oh, this guy is still a monster, so he is still going to prioritize his brood and his family over this human girl, even though he is in love with her and they are mated and everything. So, which is different. It's a different take, but it gives him more room to evolve in the future, I guess, in the second book. It does make him a little bit of a weaker character, I guess. I don't know.
So is that your answer for number 2? If there are corrections, what would they be?
No, I wouldn't correct this because it made the story more interesting.
Okay.
It made him less likable.
Yeah.
But it made him more interesting. And this is why I like the ending so much, because it definitely subverted my expectations in a good way. So the bad guy, it didn't end up being this whole big build up to a final fight scene. It was more like a holy cow, this situation is way bigger than anybody could have anticipated, and she is way in over her head situation. And how is she gonna get out of it?
I would agree with that. Like, I want to get into the character of Silas and the character of Luca a little bit more before we finish out this episode. But I will say that for number 2, if there were corrections, what would they be for me? I would totally have there be a better, the whole thing with Phoebe and Silas.
Yeah.
Because, like, I know the first time we interact with Silas and Phoebe together, I messaged you and I said, they're siblings, aren't they? Like,
you knew. You knew right off the bat.
The way they conversed with each other, they were siblings. It was very obvious. And so, like, the big reveal towards the end that they were brother and sister
didn't work on you.
It didn't work. It didn't work. So if you wanted that to hit better, more punchy, then change their interactions. Have more interactions between them. Like, give Alina a reason to listen to Phoebe and to stay away from him. Like, they needed to have more social interactions, or for Silas to be around more often, because Alina's been there since they were children. Like, she should have seen him. If they spent all this time together, then why has Alina never seen Silas? And yet Silas,
Also,
again, this is his favorite sister. Do anything for her. Bitch, we haven't seen you. What the fuck?
I think I have a huge... If there are any corrections, this is the correction I would make.
Okay.
It's a big one. I think for the ending to have hit harder, I think there should have been a little bit more of an illusion as an alluded, to the big underlying conspiracy thing about these basilisk creatures. In the beginning, there should have been some more allusion to some kind of power pulling the strings in the background. It doesn't have to be big, but it should have been there and present and been like ticked off the reader a little bit. Be like, I wonder why this organization is conducting this behavior this way.
It just kind of shows up like willy-nilly
at the very end.
And you're just like, what? You're thrown for a not a good loop. Like, I would consider there being some good loops. That was not one of them. I did not, like, it was just like so left field. Okay, so they're grooming her.
Yep.
Okay, but we don't really see any of that.
We don't see any evidence of that.
In fact,
it was a tell don't show situation.
Bitch is left alone so fucking much. Like,
they could have fixed this. They should have added an in-house chaperone that was connected to this.
Look, there we've solved a couple of fucking problems.
So many problems with just one single character, or like
a staff
butler.
The staff,
just one butler or something. Yep. Have half the staff be in on it.
Yep.
And then she'd be betrayed by everybody.
Yep.
Not just
the whole
one person.
Not just the rug pulled out from underneath her. No, the whole fucking
whole
house.
Life.
Yep.
So why didn't that happen?
I would say that feeds into number 3. I would say that is a major plot hole. Right there. Like, we needed these parts of the story to be connected better.
You did.
Like,
it felt disconnected.
So disconnected. Okay. So now that we've answered all 3 of this, romance, smut, erotica.
I hesitate to even call it a romance. I think they're sexually very into each other. I don't know
if... It's definitely smutty.
It's smutty. It is smutty.
Yeah.
I would call it...
No, remember, erotica is just almost straight fucking the whole way through.
It's not erotica. Smut, I would call it
with the sex and
if I were to choose
story.
Between those 3 titles, a romance for sure. But I don't call this book a romance.
No. Well, that's why I'm saying a smut, because, like, erotica is just fucking, right? Romance is romantic. Smut is like a mix of the two. I would say it's
I guess you're right. It is. I think it does lean more towards smut.
Yeah.
I think it leans more towards smut. There is a lot of it in this. And they are very sexually compatible.
Yeah.
I don't think they're very romantically compatible.
No.
She had more romance between her.
Hold on.
Herself and Victor.
I'm going to get into that before we close out the episode. So I was gonna say, like, when we were introduced to Victor / Luca, I was like, this guy is a gentleman. He's so soft and soft-spoken, and he's very considerate and stuff like that. I would have made him
has a calm confidence about himself too.
Right. He was refreshing to her.
Yeah.
In contrast to Silas, because Silas was very intense.
Yep.
And then at the end, we find out that he's very sadistic and stuff like that. But I did not find him to be. I wanted him to be harder.
Me too.
Like,
but he was still pretty hard.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I thought the juxtaposition of it, like, he was so, like, he was like, I can't just walk you, I need to walk you home, but I can't come in. Like, propriety demands that I meet you at the door, and that's about it. And I was like, oh, this is like this is what I miss about old Harlequins, because I used to read a lot of Victorian Regency type thing. And that was one of the things that happened. Like, they would leave them at the door, leave their calling card, you know, like, once they were home, they were safe.
Romance.
Right. Yeah. And that was like a hint of it. And I was like, this is so nice. And then when he shows back up and he's now wearing the black leather, he's got the fucking riding crop. And I'm just like, oh.
Yes.
Harder, Daddy. Harder. Okay. And then Silas.
This guy is way better. Way better.
Then Silas is chasing her through streets, through the house. And then when they finally start doing things, he's a soft kid glove. Like, I get it. Like, Like, you're kind of stuck in this reverie as well. But, like, it's like finding out. It's like having a Lizelle and then finding out Lizelle's actually Carlac.
Yeah, that exactly.
You know, like, I actually had a friend. I'm spilling some tea. I'm not going to use names, but I had a friend who, a couple of friends in high school who dated each other, and they were like, you know, you would think that so and so was like the boss bitch in bed, but like, no, she like laid down and she was like, okay. And it was just like a big turn off or something like that. And like, this was years ago. And I was like, oh, you would think that someone would be a little bit more of the D in this relationship. And no, she's the total S. That's what it felt like. Like, honestly, I know.
That's what it felt like, 100%. If this took a hard left turn into 100% BDSM spot, he would be an S. For sure. For sure. And I
would have loved that. That would have... Okay, hold on. Okay, so last month we talked about Stray and how, like, you asked a question. If you could turn the main character, switch him with someone else, who would you switch him with? This guy.
Yep.
Because the confidence is there, the intensity is there, and then the underlying submissive is there.
Yep.
That's who I would have switched it with, the characteristics.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, guys.
We clearly had a lot to say.
We had a lot to say about this. This was The Poisoner by Ivy Ophelia. You can get it on Kindle Unlimited. It is available right now. That was our March read, guys. That was our March. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
March read. All right. Well, I have our April read. We're going to talk about hard left turns. We're going to take a hard left turn. We have been teasing about reading. We're going to call them retro because we're being unkind. But we have been talking about retro romances and doing a series on retro romances. And we haven't done it because we just don't have the time. I'm sorry. We're hoping that we get some co-hosts in our co-host pool so that we can do this at some point. But until we are able to do that, I am going to pull one out for our April book of the month. And we are going to read When Strangers Marry. We're going to be doing this physically because you cannot find this on Kindle. I just looked. This is actually the second, I guess you would call this a second edition. Because when it was first released, it was released as through Avon Books. This is an Avon book, by the way. It was released as Only in Your Arms. You can't find it as Only in Your Arms. You can't even find this on Kindle. You need to find a hard copy. We got these on thriftbooks.com. Hey, Thrift Books, contact us for a sponsorship. We'd love to.
Yes. Yes.
They are very inexpensive. I think between the two books, because I purchased both of these, both Cass's and mine, on thriftbooks.com. They are actually in very good condition, all things considered, for how old these books are. This was published in 92, y'all.
That was the year I was born.
This is actually one of my favorite stories. I hope you guys join us reading this. It is a historical romance. It is set in Louisiana in...
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. There's some hard topics in this. It is set in Natchez, 1805. So it is a historical romance, American historical romance. It is very good. I think you guys will enjoy it. Please join us in April on the 24th when we discuss it. I think I paid like $12 total, not including shipping because I had other books in there, but 12 books for these two copies. They're not terribly expensive. There is a second book. There is a second book which follows another member of this family.
Okay.
I haven't read that one. This one I have. Like I said, this is one of my favorites. But that's going to be our April read. Cass, do you have a recommendation for me?
Ooh, yes, I do. And now this is a sequel to the book we have read last year. I don't believe we talked about it on the podcast because I don't think it was a book of the month. But it is called